This is the next part in the series of how to achieve high performance. I'm Ryan. I'm a Stanford student, and I'm sharing some of the biggest tips that I have for how to be successful. So what we're going to talk about today is how pressure is a privilege. In really high stakes environments, you're going to experience a lot of stress, a lot of pressure. And a lot of times it's easy for that to get to us. It's easy for us to just be so concerned and so upset and wish things were different and just be like, why do I have to be under so much pressure? This is unfair, all of that. But what happens is you go follow that mindset and you go into this kind of negative spiral of just more and more bad thoughts and more bad energy, and you're just going downwards in a spiral, because there's nothing good that's going to come of that. If you keep thinking that, your life is so unfair to you, regardless of whether it is or not, you're just going to feel worse than if you thought it was better, right? So the goal of really what pressure is a privilege is, it shows that you need to reframe your situation. And of course, right, it's not always going to just perfectly work, but by reframing the situation where you have a very high pressure event or situation or thing you're preparing for, and really saying, I'm actually very lucky to be able to be up here and giving a speech to somebody, because that means somebody wants to listen. I know it sounds so corny, but by just doing that little shift, you're just turning off your super stressed out brain for just half a second. And then you're like, oh wait, that's maybe a good point. Maybe I should think about that. Maybe I'm not actually that stressed. Or you can interpret stress in different ways. Stress, I've realized over the years, comes from either one, you're not prepared and you realize, you don't have a good chance of succeeding and you still want to succeed. So now you're super stressed out because I'm actually going to fail, but I really want to succeed. But that can be, alleviated by a lot of preparation, because typically a lot of preparation will build your confidence. And then another side, right, that often leads to kind of a lot of negative thoughts and stuff with pressure, is that you should understand, if you have stress, this means you actually care about something. You care about some sort of outcome. If you didn't care at all, right, you wouldn't be stressed out. You either care what people think of you, you either want to do a good presentation, and so that kind of stress will can be reframed as a good thing. You need to see okay, I'm stressed because, I really care about this subject, or I really care about the people in the room. I want to do my very best. I care about my image. That's a more positive way to view everything versus, the other extreme is you're super stressed out. You're I'm gonna fail. You're just telling yourself all these things, right? I'm not ready, all this. Those are your two options, right? You can either tell yourself that you're not ready, you're gonna fail, all these things, or you can just sort of gaslight yourself, but in a more positive way, into being maybe this is a good thing for me. It's it's a kind of positive way to think about it. And another thing I would highly recommend is in moments of pressure, if you can just do some simple breathing. I know it sounds so corny, so dumb, but it really does help, because your mind is going at 1,000 miles an hour. You're super stressed out about stuff. You're probably heartbeat is going boom, 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 right? And just take a deep breath. And then just try to remember how much you prepared, try to remember all the preparation you put in, and just be I'm gonna do my best, right? Because I think in the process of success, the journey is so long that you need to understand that really doing your best is all that matters. The outcome will be the outcome. But if you really tried, you really learned throughout the process, and you just do your best, you try your best to be successful, and you just repeat that thousands and thousands of times, eventually you'll just be successful. But if you're become so stressed out to the point where you can't even perform well, because you know how it is. I'm sure you've experienced this. You're I prepared, and then the stress that happened on the day of made me just completely fail. And that's a bad problem, because that's you prepared. You should actually have done well. But in reality, you let all this stress and this pressure stuff get to your head. And it's really from, a lack of reframing your situation. If you really viewed the pressure more as a privilege, and you kind of did a little, a lot of these mindset shifts I'm mentioning, it would at least open your mind a little bit, and you might be a little bit less stressed, and then you could actually function better. And I also think a lot of it's with practice. I think the biggest example is just, public speaking. But the truth is, any stressful situation, any high pressure situation, when you do it more and more, your body adapts to it and gets more used to it. So it becomes less high pressure, regardless of it's public speaking or important meetings or other things, right? It's your body can't handle just having stress all the time. And if you employ a lot of these kind of different techniques I'm talking about, then you'll be able to bring down your level of stress and manage it more efficiently. That's also going to allow you to perform and be your very best. Because we do really well when we have a little bit of stress. Not like a lot, like a crippling amount, but and not like no stress at all. We actually need a little bit of stress to push us forward, to be focused, to actually, try and prepare and do our best. And I think that's something I've seen too. It's like you take an exam. If you're so stressed out, you're gonna forget. You're gonna just not be able to perform well at all. But if you're not stressed at all, then you just sit there. You just don't really care about the exam. So that's like a problem. So there's a middle level of good stress that can lead to actual success. And that all comes back to why we need to look at pressure as being privileges. That's all for today. Make sure you guys put in the comments if you have any questions and subscribe for more. I'll see you in the next video.